Kazuchika Okada is set to leave New Japan Pro Wrestling. The news was announced Thursday by New Japan, noting Okada's departure from the company following the end of his current contract on January 31st. Okada said in a statement, "I have nothing but gratitude for having been a part of New Japan Pro Wrestling since 2007 and for New Japan Pro Wrestling bringing me from a 19-year-old kid off the plane in Mexico to the Rainmaker I am today. Thank you to the best of the companies in New Japan, to the best of opponents that I've been able to face here, and to the best of fans that have cheered and booed over the years. I promise to make it rain in every match I have left. So keep watching." And President Hiroshi Tanahashi had a chance to speak about Kazuchika Okada's exit from New Japan. And speaking to Tokyo Sports, he said, "I can only express my gratitude. Speaking personally, I would have liked to have seen more matches with the new generation. However, I know that he has done his best in New Japan. I hope he will spread his wings to the world. If he is going overseas with what he has achieved at the top of New Japan, I hope that he will show Kazuchika Okada. It's the same feeling I had with Nakamura. I am very proud of him. I think it's going to get interesting from now on. We have a lot of talent now, and there are a lot of young athletes in the dojo. When the rain stops, there will be a rainbow." Some beautiful poetry here delivered by the ace. I feel like New Japan, much like Tanahashi has the president spoke about it in that clip from Tokyo Sports. They've weathered storms like this in the past. Like when you have a Nakamura leaving, well, here's Tetsuya Naito. When you have AJ leaving, well, here's a Kenny Omega. When Kenny leaves, here's a Jay White, here's a Will Ospreay. They will always manage to find somebody else, but Okada probably leaves the biggest void that anybody has ever left, at least in recent memory in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And to suggest that any of the upcoming stars may be able to fill it, that's a huge if, in my opinion. That you have, of course, your three musketeers plus the extra musketeer who I guess, is it Uemura or yes, I guess.
I think Tsuji, Narita, and Umino are the three musketeers, and they left Yuya out of that at the time, which I thought was a little cruel, because
so I'm actually incredibly excited, because I think this totally just means that they're going to be fast tracked, to take those spots and to really lead this company to sort of like a new era a lot sooner than maybe we had all expected. So in many ways, I'm excited to see how New Japan responds to this. I mean, you have Tanahashi pretty much already exiting the company. You have Tetsuya Naito still, a member of the old guard, but really, like, seemingly this run is being positioned as his last, major run. And this is just a clearing of the deck, isn't it? It's your championship team, and the championship years are gone. Time to start fresh. It might take some time, and I think the bigger question remains, will they ever reach the peaks that perhaps they did before an AEW was around, in those years where, hey, like, people like us were making it a destination trip to go over to Japan from other parts of the world, when New Japan truly felt like the number 2 promotion. Is that still within reach at all? That's a big if. But I'm also, like, strangely optimistic at, like, under pressure, what New Japan might do, with something like this.
I agree that the void is bigger this time, particularly because he's a Japanese talent rather than a Westerner, and also because he's absolutely in his prime, which arguably Shinsuke, might have been in more of the Naito kind of realm. I don't know their comparative ages, but certainly there were some arguments that Shinsuke was past his best, whereas Okada is certainly right in the middle of his best right now. So I think it is a void, but yeah, you're right. They have such talent. That system produces such wonderful in-ring performers and technical wrestlers that, the possibilities are absolutely there if they can get the booking right, and if they can strap the rocket onto Ayota Tsuji, for example. I mean, I'm sure Bruce and Karen, they're going to be on tomorrow, and they'll have, an awful lot of detail on this. But the big question is, where will he land? Who's going to grab him? And I think that'll be very interesting too, because if, for instance, it's AEW, Tony Khan has demonstrated great flexibility with allowing wrestlers to stay in their home country a lot. Will apparently is able to stay in the UK a great deal once he takes up his contract. We've seen Shibata go back to Japan, although I think that was some sort of emergency. I'm not quite sure. But I think there's certainly going to be more flexibility if he goes to AEW to live for part of the year in Japan, whereas WWE would want him as a weekly talent. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. It's probably AEW's biggest bargaining chip, at least to us. I mean, this is assuming all money is equal. We have no idea what's being offered to the man. Hopefully, it's exactly what he deserves, which is a lot. But yeah, like he wouldn't have to relocate to America. Presumably, this was a major deciding factor for Will Ospreay. Also has, I mean, he seemingly already has a relationship with Tony, has relationships with the EVPs and Kenny and the Bucks. He's going to be playing to an audience that already sees him as a top star. He's already main evented their pay-per-view, so there isn't going to be as much of a transition. But the WWE does provide the biggest possible stage that he could wrestle in. Sports Illustrated had a report talking about significant interest from specifically Sean and Hunter, and sources telling close to New Japan that have told Sports Illustrated that Okada has always wanted to perform at WrestleMania. Take that as for whatever that means. There, of course, in the past there were concerns about how foreign talent, Japanese talent, non-English speaking talent may be portrayed and treated in the WWE. I'm not going to say those issues are all gone, but I definitely think that they're not as concerning under the new regime as they might have been. So how do you think he would do in the WWE?
Well, I think he would need to get used to not being in a place where the entire promotion is pretty much built around him. He was going to be like thrust into a sea of main eventers. And I was talking to Jordan earlier on today, and apparently there's a meme out there, I haven't quite seen it, where somebody has got Okada standing in the middle of the ring, and then the Judgment Day music hits and he gets interrupted, and it's kind of, this is what life will be like, opening up Monday Night Raw. And I think that's going to be a big adjustment for all of us, who've followed his career elsewhere.
That's wild to me, but okay.
But I'll have to try and find it, but it's out there. But it's the sort of thing that will happen. These weird angles and how do they, his English isn't, I feel, brilliant. I saw him speak at Battle in the Valley a couple of years on the trot. How WWE handles that, they've done a good job with Nakamura recently, but I don't know. They still want, even though Vince isn't really at the tiller anymore, they want big characters, not just someone who's an absolutely amazing wrestler. Look at Ricochet, who is an amazing wrestler, and just he English is his native tongue, but he can't really hang in that realm.
My big question is, could he still play the Rainmaker on WWE television? I feel the biggest success, in my opinion, of a crossover star is Asuka, who more so than Nakamura, in my opinion, because to me, Asuka is somebody who has led her division, whereas Nakamura has been a very good challenger in the past, but only recently. He's never felt like the person. And even both Nakamura and Asuka, they're major sort of loud personalities that might be able to easily translate, across language barriers. Whereas I think the Rainmaker could too, but I've just never really seen that type of character portrayed without a Ric Flair type of promo, on WWE television. So it would be different. Not saying it's not doable, especially I think, if Paul Levesque has the reverence for, an understanding of the Rainmaker, as we might presume he will, I think it poses an interesting challenge. It's just hard for me to picture at this moment.
Yeah, I agree with you. My mind is just going to tonight's episode where Asuka is showing tons of personality without having to open her mouth, with the after the Women's Tag Team Championship match. I don't know. The most I've seen anything like that from Okada was him dancing with Mercedes Moné.
Are we forgetting Balloon Okada?
Oh, of course, Red Balloon, Sad Okada. Yeah, no, that was a great character. Yeah,
I didn't think so.
I know you didn't. Eric did.
Yes.
So I'm with him on this one. We can't always agree, but yeah, I'm with you. I think it would be a hell of an adjustment, to say the least. And I haven't seen that kind of character work.
I do kind of feel like so to an AEW fan, Okada is already a major deal. The bigger question is, I guess, to a more sort of wider WWE base, how aware are they of a Kazuchika Okada and his sort of stature? And what could a WWE do to sort of like promote his accomplishments to somebody who, might not have watched New Japan Pro Wrestling? Like, maybe we underestimated a lot of it, because look at the reaction Cody Rhodes received at WrestleMania upon his return. And I wonder how much of that audience watched him in AEW, or just maybe, I don't know, aware of what the man has accomplished outside. How much of that sort of like, I don't know, feeling might rub off on a Kazuchika Okada, that even if you're not a New Japan or AEW fan, you probably have heard his name being mentioned online at some point. Will that be enough just to kind of directly translate this Rainmaker character and everything that sort of it encompasses to a WWE fan? I wonder.